Right. Good morning, all brothers and sisters from all over the world. Thank you again for giving me this chance to share over here. Suddenly I realized the last time I shared it was pretty long time ago. It was like in March, I think. So yeah, sorry for being missing the past few months, because I've been trying to finish up my thesis writing. Uh, almost done, almost done. Uh, Passed my oral presentation, but still last bits of updating my thesis. So hopefully I can graduate soon. Okay, so today's sharing, I'll be touching on a few of the things I've learned from the past week when I've been to the training camp for the community members. That I think some of you all have been there also. So please pardon me if you have heard this before. And let's share with each other later also. You can please do elaborate on my sharing. But the topic I'd like to talk about is time, which I really learned so much during this camp, especially because we had a lesson where we invited Brother Christopher to share with us in English. And we all know Brother Christopher, or also known as Xiao Niu, Brother Xiao Niu, or formerly Cheng Yen师兄, or Brother Christopher. Okay, now only 16 years old, but already going to begin his university life. In fact, her year three of university, and he'll be studying in UC Berkeley, beginning this September, I think. Yeah. He vowed to master before that he's going to complete his study in 6 years, quickly getting his bachelor so that he can quickly begin entering the mission and upholding the mission. So he shared during that sharing that what is time? What is time? And we always think that time separates us. Say, Buddha and us 2,500 years ago, and now we are separated by such a long time. And we also learned before that that we have the true Dharma period that lasts for 1,000 years, and then the resemblance Dharma period another 1,000 years, and after which the degeneration Dharma period. So it's as if when time passes, it naturally will enter into these eras or changes. It's as if we are separated by time. As time passes, we get further and further away from Buddha. We get further and further away from truth, or further and further away from our loved ones as time passes. And we all go through birth, aging, and death. And as time passes, it seems to separate us. But Brother Christopher said, in this phrase, which I like it very much, it says, time does not separate us. Forgetfulness separates us. Which I really love very much. Imagine again, just now when we were talking about 2,500 years ago, Buddha's time and us, it's a long time. I mean, 2,500 years is don't know how many lifetimes of reincarnations going through the 6 realms. But yet, Buddha's teaching is still here. We still listen to it. we still practice it. And Master is leading us onto the path of Bodhisattva path, still strong and remembered, and walking on it, listening to it, practicing it. So it's as if, well, really, because we're really, really thankful of our Master for bringing us back, for sort of reminding us of all of these teachings that we might have heard before in our past lives. We all like to have the analogy that our affinity with Master was long before, that we might have sat in the Vulture's Peak together before, but probably have forgot about it for a long time already. But Master reminded us of that Buddha nature that we all already have, of all the lessons that we have heard before, of all the goodness that's already in us, reminding us that we all already have the treasure, the gem on us. And those reminders help us to come back, to link us again with Buddha that's 2,500 years ago, or Buddha that is no birth, no death, that is always there, there's permanent, there's always present. So time is not the factor that brings things apart, but forgetfulness that separates things, that separates us from a few minutes ago. I mean, many a time, it's shameful to say for me, every morning during morning lessons, listening to wisdom at dawn, it's really so difficult to remember every single ideas that the Master is trying to preach to us. So that's why she has always emphasized again and again and again, repeating it for a few times every day. And many a time when I try to read back to the Nalü Zhu Ji, the books that was written a long time ago on Master's sermons, I often find what Master says, a few years ago and what Master says now is very, very similar. Some of the phrases always 多用心, and there's a lot of things that when we watch back the videos of the Wisdom at Dawn, we realize that, chapters before, she has been mentioning about the chapter 17, ideas in chapter 17. Maybe when she was when she was at chapter 5, she's already talking about chapter 17. And well, before we wouldn't have noticed it, or we wouldn't have understood it. But now when we look back, all ideas connect together, and then things start to pieces together into one single whole. It's as if it has never changed. Master has been speaking on it all the while. It's just that we never really remembered it. And so forgetfulness is something that struck me very hard. How do we not forget our Chu Fa Xin, the very first thought when we joined Tzu Chi, when we first learned about Tzu Chi, when we first learned about this whole good idea, that feeling of that passionate feeling of being with suffering, being with the people. Do not forget it. Do not forget it. Do not come to a stage when Tzu Chi becomes just tasks, become just tasks that this class is the responsibility of a certain 协力, and then this certain task is the responsibility of a certain another 协力, and so on and so forth. Don't come to the stage when it's only task, or when it's only just charity work. It just works. Okay, don't. Always remember why we are here. When we are here to practice, but all these works actually to help us to practice ourselves, our hearts. So whether it's 2,500 years ago, or is it 2,300,000 years, it really doesn't make any difference anymore. If we remember, if we have the same heart. And so I was asking myself, how do I maintain that same heart, the same goodness, the same good thoughts, every single second? I mean, that's difficult. When I try to, many a times I was suddenly like coming to realization of what I'm doing now. And then I'll be like, wait a minute, what have I been thinking? Like for the past few, don't know how many minutes, why am I in such trouble or in such worries, in such afflictions? And then, in that sudden split second, I'll suddenly come into that awakeness and realization that, hey, what have I been thinking about? Why am I troubled in those worries? And I'll be asking myself, why have I not been able to maintain that goodness, all the while? I mean, when we go to gongxiu or group sharing, or after a morning class, or after an event together, we always feel that joy and that happiness and that vow, that strong vow, after training hands, that that the very strong will and passion and fasi, Dharma joy, to continue and so on and so forth. But those feelings or those vows or those repentance somehow just doesn't last as long as we wish it to be. So how do we sustain it? I remember of what Master has been preaching. In fact, I was amazed when I look back to this again. The 4 practices, 无欲修, 无间修, 常识修, 尊重修, closeness practices, non-stop practice, long-time practice, respectful practice. I mean, I think with these 4, at least 2 or 3 of them is already about time. It's about how to sustain. And not just sustaining, but every single second, non-stop, continuing it for a long time, continuing. And, within these 4, there's already 2 to 3. There's about how to sustain. So you see how important it is to remember, to always remember. And how to do that, these past few days, I've been trying something new. That's also what Master say, that is 念念相续. How do we connect each thought to the next? Every single second, always mindful of this current moment. What am I thinking? What am I doing? Do I know what I'm doing? Is this good? Is my mind in goodness? Am I in diligence? So always reminding myself all these ideas. So I think waking up and go to Xu Fa Xiang is a very good start of the day. To start this cycle fresh and new, with that very first thought in the morning that is good, and then continuing that goodness for the next second, and then the next second, and the next second, and the next second, and so on and so forth. I think it's easier to sustain for the next second instead of, say, sustaining for a day or for a few days. We don't have to think so long. Think just about the next second. How do we make sure that our next second is good, and the next second is also good, and the next second is also very good, and so on and so forth, connecting each thought to the next, and always reminding ourselves every single time. And I think that kind of connects to why chanting, in a way, has its strength. Why chanting the Buddha's name has its strength. Because that continuous chanting or meditation helps us to connect those thoughts, to be mindful of the times. So that's so from there I see the strength of it. But at the same time, I also know that it's a way to practice. It's a way to help us to continue those thoughts. And there's many ways to do that same thing also. How to, in our daily life, continuing that Tzu Chi spirit, that goodness, as when we are washing our clothes, when we are sweeping the floor, when we are cooking our dinner, so on and so forth. How do we continue that good thoughts so that our meal is filled with love, so that when we are sweeping our floor, we are also sweeping away the dust in our heart, so on and so forth. How do we make every our actions be connected to that goodness and always continuing on that, so that our life is not separated to Tzu Chi and work and family, becoming parts and pieces. No, connects them into one integral whole. That all the time we are always using that same goodness. All the time, no matter when we are working or when we are at home, it's always that same goodness, that same diligence, that same thought, and the next thought, and the next thought continuing. I want to share a story that I'm sure you might have heard of it for the past few days, but let's remind ourselves of this story again. There's one of our sisters in Africa, Minsi Shiji, passed away while she was 58 years old. One of the most diligent volunteer in Africa, Durban. She lives one of the furthest away from our center, 50 kilometers away. She has to change 2 to 3 bus in order to come. And since last year, 2017, she has been sick and ill. But she's also one of the most highest attendance in coming to trainings and works, charity works. But since last year, 2017 year end, she had a very serious illness, and in 2018 February, she still came back and be certified as commissioners at our centers. And there was a story when she was very ill. She one day dream of a demon. I dream of a demon, and the demon was telling her that, hey, I'm going to take your life. And Mrs. Tzu Chi was kind of very happy that, oh, do you want to join Tzu Chi? And so on and so forth, and start sharing about Tzu Chi, and Tzu Chi's work, charity is really, really good. It's Master Cheng Yen is bringing us in these very great directions. And you must come join us. Become part of the Tzu Chi family, so on and so forth. And the demon was very happy and and were kind of moved. And so sure. I mean, I'll join Tzu Chi, but I have to take your life first. And Mrs. Tzu Chi was like, okay, yes. I mean, you're going to join Tzu Chi. That's the greatest. I'm so happy. I mean, I can do anything as long as you're willing to join Tzu Chi. But she said, but you have to remember, after you take my life, I mean, once you become a Tzu Chi disciple, master disciple, you must remember to take the 10 precepts. And the first precept is no killing. So and you must remember, you must be a vegetarian, okay? And so on and so forth. So that's a conversation with the demon when she was dreaming, when she was sleeping. It's really such that true manifestation of that sustaining the goodness all the while, even while dreaming. It's really, really, really amazing. I mean, how do we control our thoughts when we are dreaming? It's almost impossible. But how do we do that? That is from when we were awake. What are we thinking? What is our thoughts? What is the thoughts that has been connecting us all the while? Those thoughts, those deep down inside the thoughts will manifest in our dreams. And this is her dream. Well, in her dream, she's still recruiting. She's still sharing about Tzu Chi. She's still hoping, the demon can join Tzu Chi. I mean, even if that means taking her life. Still very happy, joyous, not a single attachment. Truly amazing. And indeed, we see her, although ill and very seriously ill, but when our youngsters wanted to bring a chair for her to sit when she was getting commissioned, she said, no, I'm going to stand. She takes the commissioning very, very seriously. She's going to stand with everyone else and be commissioned. And during that day, she also stood up and shared with everyone that she's going to continue the vow of doing Tzu Chi until her last breath. And in April, she passed away. So how she has been able to continue that thought all the while also reminds me of what Master has said these past few days. I heard of someone sharing about this. We were doing this, the 法脉中文纲要, that is trying to come up with an essence, the gist, or a summary, the most important core of what Tzu Chi school of Buddhism is all about. And so there was a lot of versions of how to arrange all these ideas. I mean, must have talked about so many things. How to put it into perspective, how to connect the dots and make it into something that is easily understandable. And when we need to search for a certain idea or that the master have preached before, you can easily find it. Or how do we see the big picture of what master has spoke about? I mean, we cannot say that master's teaching is, you go and read it up in Nali Tzu Chi, and then you have one whole shelf of all the teachings over there, and trying to and say this master's teaching. No, we have to try to summarize it and try to find out what is the key, what is the core, what's the key idea. And so we have a lot of different versions of trying to put it into the perspective. It's still a task at work, still in action. So this in the photograph is one of the version of this sort of in a timeline view of what Master spoke before. Say, 付出无所求 was spoke in a certain year. 主动追业 is began in what year, so on and so forth. Some ideas when did Master first spoke of the idea, so on and so forth. We split it down into this scroll that actually was 6 meters long. It was amazing. It was really amazing. Looking at it, 6 meters long, and when we showed this to Master, she was looking through it, from the very first day, 1964, when she began the Jing boat and her monastic life, and continuing that, reading through it, and at last, at the end, she was nodding her head and said, "There's not a moment in life that I regret." I mean, when I heard this again, it's struck in my head, how amazing is that? I mean, when we look back to our life, for Master, she look back to these 52 years of doing Tzu Chi. She said, "There's not a moment in life that I regret." How about this? What are some of the moments that we still remember now? I mean, I'm only 28. Well, there's only these beats of memories, that really doesn't count much when I look back. And of course, there's a lot of things that I regret and a lot of things that I feel shameful about. There are a lot of things that if I can do it again, I want to do it better, so on and so forth. But much this is not a moment in life that I regret. There's not a moment in life that she has let it wasted. There's not a moment in life that has not been in goodness. It's truly amazing how she has connected her thoughts from one to another, always in goodness, and how her teachings has been, all the while she has spoke of so much things and have done so much things all the while. So, really, we are truly grateful to be born in this era that we can see for our own eyes, meet in the face of such a saint, such a person, such a practitioner that has been able to put into action and manifest for us to see that this is possible. that as human beings, it's possible to be this way, sustaining each and every thought. So in the last Yuan Yuan of the camp, she spoke of this. 法麦有没有交代好？ She was reflecting and keep reminding and asking herself, has the Dhamma lineage been understood clearly? Has she put it across clearly? Has us disciples, have we understood it already? She took into heart this very much. And it really depends on us. Have we understood it clearly? And has the path been laid out firmly? Has it been very clear? Are we all very sure what we are doing? What is our mission? Is the system already sustainable? Is the things already smooth? Is the path already right, in the right direction? Not a single bit of astray. It's very, very firm and sure. And for the next centuries to come, we need to pave the path well and smooth. Paving this path well and smooth depends again on us disciples. Are we walking this path very surely and really knowing what we are doing? Are we continuing, sustaining, upholding the teachings? And so that this path has many people, all of us brothers and sisters, holding hands, and with Master's heart as our heart, Buddha's heart as our heart, Master's heart as our heart as well, walking this path, making it smooth. I remembered Master also once spoke to us that she hoped to, while she was still around, she can bring us, hold our hands, to pave this path together, to tell us, to really tell us what should be done, how should things be done. So many a time, as we are working over here in the boat, Master will remind us that we must let her know the things. When we have a certain mission or a certain event or a certain a disaster, certain things that we need to go through that's new, she will hope that we must ask her, let her know, let her be very sure of how the things are, so that she can bring us to pave the path, to help us, lead us in the right direction. So I think this is very important, that of everything we do, whether it's in Tzu Chi or in anywhere else, we must always ask ourselves and look back to Master's teaching. Are we going in the right direction? Are we paving the right path? Because whatever we think and whatever things we do becomes a path. Because whatever thing we do is like our steps walking through the grass road. It will leave a trace. It will leave a track. And people behind will look at us and see this track going through and thinking, hey, someone has done it before. Maybe this is right. Or maybe this is right. Maybe this is the way to go. But we need to ask ourselves, are we walking it right, so that the people behind can follow this track together? Or are we leading it maybe somewhere slanted, and we might lead people to the wrong direction? So every single action, every single thought, as we are wearing this Tzu Chi uniform, when we are now already in Tzu Chi together, we always connect it back to Master's teaching and to her goodness and thoughts. Every actions pave it in the right directions, always reminding ourselves of that. So we come back to time. Now all the time, do not forget. Do not let forgetfulness separate us from true Dharma. Do not let forgetfulness bring Dharma into resemblance Dharma period too fast. I mean, what's the difference between true Dharma period and resemblance Dharma period? It's when we forgot what we are doing. When we are just doing the actions without knowing what we are doing, that is resemblance Dharma period. That is like praying to the statues without knowing what we are praying for, why we are doing all these actions. its resemblance Dharma period. So, and that's the difference when we forget. So do not forget. So that is time. And that's wisdom life. And that's something that we already have, sustaining it, always upholding it. So I think within this topic, I could answer one of the questions that was mentioned. That what is about the Dharani practice that Master has preached before. Actually, Master has preached on it many different times in many different sessions. But during this is in chapter 12 on the chapter on the Devadatta, we heard of the Dragon Maiden having obtaining all the Ranis, and so when she presented the jewel to the Buddha quickly received it in representations that what she is doing is in the right direction, and Buddha accepted it very much, very quickly. And so this question was asking, so what is the Dharani about? Let's remind ourselves that Dharani or Toloni it literally means to uphold and maintain. And what we uphold and what we maintain, Master interpreted it this way: 总一切法，持一切善. Upholding all Dharma, maintaining in all goodness. So I think this connects back to that whole time idea again. How do we uphold all Dharma all the time? How do we maintain ourselves in goodness all the time? And that's Dharani. Of course, in the normal Buddhist text, you might see that Dharani is these short, powerful words, phrases that's almost like mantras that short phrases that you can chant on it, that is very powerful, that has kind of summarizes all the Dharma and then so on and so forth. But let's link the idea, Dharani, back to this life, to this present world. How do we see it? How do we understand it? I think it's like our Jing aphorisms, or like this very first phrase we were sharing, that this time is a separatist, forgetfulness separatist. I mean, these are powerful words that can lead us in the right directions. That, well, at least to me, I mean, these words struck me in my head very much, and I was like, wow, this is powerful, and it helped me to think about how do I practice, how do I sustain my goodness, how do I connect my thoughts, on and on. So such powerful words are like these Dharanis, short and powerful phrases that help us to realize the right teachings. Just like all the Jing aphorisms, many of them strikes us in the head when we pick one of it in the morning, open it up, and then we're like, wow, this is like completely describes my heart. And this is like Dharani. And how do we sustain those goodness? Of course, when we pick a Jing aphorism, or when we read those phrases, we don't begin chanting on it, or like repeating. We don't repeat it. We don't chant it for the sake of chanting it. But the idea is to remember it, is to uphold it and maintain it, put it into actions. So there's the whole idea of Dharani or mantra, or all those are just to help us, to tell us some of these right teachings. And the thing about it is not about chanting them or repeating it for 1,000 million times, but upholding it, maintaining it in our every single thought, in helping us connecting our thoughts together. Okay, so that's my interpretation and answer to this question. And
hello, brother and sisters. So my name is Tanzen. I'm a second year medical student from IMU Bukit Jalil. So today I'm going to share about my experience of Xun Fa Xiang. The first time I attended Xun Fa Xiang was during the Jury Bowing pilgrimage in Kapong Jing Si Hall. And that time it just happened that I reached here earlier and I managed to join the Xun Fa Xiang. So at that time I couldn't really understand what was it about, and so because everything just I found it like quite deep for me. But I remember there was one sentence that actually caught my attention. I remember Xiang Ren said that not to make judgment about anyone before I know the truth. So at that time I felt quite guilty about myself because I used to like judge people based on my own assumption, and so it made me like spread all the fake news around. So this was actually the first time that I felt like sounds like Shang was actually like talking to me, like advised me that I should think before talking. So since that it happened last year, and since that I started to go Xun Fa occasionally. Until June, I actually like challenged myself. I gave myself a period of 1 week and see if I can commit every day. Yeah, and surprisingly, I made it, and I continue until now. So I joined the Xun Fa most of the day, except during my exam period or when Shangren was away from the board. So the initial reason of me continuing Xun Fa was because I was actually quite touched by Shiku Shipo, who came and fetch me every day in the morning, even though because I know that it's very not convenient for them, but they are willing to do it, and yeah, I felt guilty if I didn't go. And also I feel like because Sangren is quite old, and yet she managed to wake up so early in the morning just for office. So yeah, it's not an waste my time. And also because I was quite interested with all the Dharma studies since young, but I didn't have the chance to learn about it. So, but after attending the Xun Fa because I can volunteers in the center, so yeah, I learned little by little. So until today, I kind of like understand better of the Lotus Sutra. And because and also because I always give some advice in the Xun Fa, so it just somehow give me some positive energy to kickstart my day. And I realized that I can actually apply them into my daily life, especially because throughout the day I always meet difficult situation or like difficult people, and I realized I tend to be more optimistic now, especially because I got very stressed out for my study. Because previously I used to like get depressed quite easily because I always set like a very high target result for myself, and once I didn't hit it, and I was just feel depressed for the entire day. But because after Xun Fa I started to practice that to see things from different angles. So as well as my result not too bad, it's acceptable, and I'm okay with it, and I don't compare with others. So I will just tell myself to work harder next time, maybe, yeah. And also because after Xun Fa I try to like train myself to let go of my egoism, so that I can to be a more humble person. Because previously I used to like always feel good about myself, and I just ignore those like so-called bad students. So I know that I'm wrong, and because since everyone have their own weakness and strength, and maybe they are not good in study, so they should good in other way. So they should have something that I can learn from them. And myself, because I still have a lot of weakness which I improve myself. Yeah, and because not all have, because I sleep earlier and wake up early in the morning, I also started to become vegetarian. Because I remember last time I used to like quite choosy, and basically I hate all the vegetables except cabbage. But then now my main source of food is actually vegetable. Yeah, and that's why at the beginning my family and friends are actually quite shocked about it. And also because my family members, like, they're not very agree of me being vegetarian, maybe because they don't understand much. But because I everyday go Xun Fa, so it's actually just somehow give me some sort of encouragement to continue what I think is right. And also most of the time I feel like Sangha like always know like what are we thinking and what are we doing. Because I remember during my third day of attending Xun Fa Xiang, and because I couldn't contact the Shipo who came and fetched me, yeah, and since I woke up early already, so I booked a Grab to the center. And the moment I stepped into the center, then Shangren was actually praising about a volunteer in Taiwan who always go to the center to Xun Fa Xiang by taking a cab every day. So I felt like it was so related to me. So every time I go Xun Fa Xiang, I feel like connected with Shangren. Because I remember there was once that I actually felt very tired and I feel like giving up to go Xun Fa Xiang. And at that night, I couldn't really sleep well. But then the next morning, I still managed to wake up. And the moment I stepped into the center again, and I heard that she was actually advising us not to forget the initial vow that we made to come Xun Fa Xiang every day. And at that time, I actually got very shocked and I felt guilty. So yeah, and I decided to continue. There was also another time during Chijing camp that because that night I was telling my group mates that I felt very disappointed about myself because I go Xun Fa Xiang for so long, but it seems like I never understand anything. So I felt very disappointed. But then the next morning, again, I feel like Sangha was talking to me again because she was telling a story about one story that I feel quite related to me. She said that even though a person who is uncivilized, as well as he has a chance to learn Dharma, then one day he will surely understand. I mean, it's just a matter of time, so we just need to be patient. So this story actually encouraged me and that I should not give up no matter how. Yeah, so I hope that I can continue Xun Fa Xiang. And of course, I wish more of my friends would join me as well. And I really, really appreciate that all the Shuku Sipo who came and fetch me every day in the morning to give me a chance to go Xun Fa Xiang. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, good morning, Brother Sister, and I'm also come from Malaysia, same like you, and KL. Actually, I think in the Lotus Sutra, chapter 20, there's saying the Bodhisattva never disparaging, Chang Pusa. So I think though you're still young, still in school, and I think because of our as a living Bodhisattva who are really taking action and really appreciate what the master teaching. So they provide the transport for you and send you to center to listen to the Xun Fa Xiang. I think this is a very real Bodhisattva what is is done very naturally. And every day almost all our volunteers also do that. This is a very good example as a living Bodhisattva is taking action and not just do things. And I think that they also because we want to do good thing, we have to have a right direction. And through listening to the Xun Fa Xiang, this is a very wonderful thing that we can directly accept from the master. And because everyone attend to the sharing from master, and each of us are receive what we can absorb. The main point is all totally different. So you also very like you give up. I mean, you have a potential for your personal it's like 潜能怎么讲for potential, right? You have a potential because I think you have this because the Sibu they never disparaging us, and because we are young, we still study, and you also as never I think as a respect to the Dharma, that's why you keep, even though sometimes you have a bad thought that, should I, just attend again, even though I cannot understand, should I continue to attend the Xun Fa Xiang? But yet, you do a right decision that, you go on the next day, because, Master every day will give us a very, different, story to inspire us again, what is our main, aspiration for the beginning that we want to join Tzu Chi. Yeah, I think, this is my, feedback about you. Thank you.
Good morning, Shifu, brothers and sisters. I am Kathy, a Tzu Chi alumni, and today I would like to share my Xun Fa Xiang experience with everyone. So the first time I attended Xun Fa Xiang was during 2016 December, during the Tzu Chi Taiwan camp. I had a chance to volunteer at a boat and the Tzu Chi Hualien Hospital. So we were staying at the abode, for around 10 days. So at first I was quite worried that I would doze off during all the morning shift because I cannot get used to waking up early. But then one day I was just listening to the playback video and I found the terms very interesting because I was previously studying about ancient India, so I could relate to what Sangren was talking about. So, and then after that, I was very, very interested and very excited to know what Sangren is going to tell us next. So, I found myself very focused after that, and then I made a vow at the abode's main hall to Xun Fa Xiang every day. And I'm still trying to keep that vow. So when I came back to Malaysia from Taiwan, I started Xun Fa Xiang, and then I faced a few difficulties. So the first difficulty was my parents. They were quite worried about my safety because I go out every day at the same time, and they were worried that I might get targeted. So I tried to arrange 师姑师伯 and then ask 学长学姐 to just come and fetch me for 学法香, just to make my parents less worried.
Calm them.
Yeah, just to calm them down. So, and then after that, during my college years, my classes was around 8, so I had to catch a train around 7, and usually Xun Fa Xiang ends at 6:50, so that's also a problem for me. So sometimes I try to leave early, but sometimes I will skip Xun Fa Xiang, but then I will read back to the notes sent to the WhatsApp group. Yeah. And lastly, I think the really, really difficult thing is to wake up because I still have assignments and then I still cannot sleep early. So sometimes I get my friends to give me a wake-up call, or I just invite them to Xun Fa Xiang together at the same place so that I make sure that I will be there and I will wake up to Xun Fa Xiang. And then I also saw this photo from Ban Xue Jie, which is a I don't know what is I will try to share. So I didn't find the comic strip, but I still remember the words. So it's in Chinese, it is 新开这辈子，铺平下辈子, and it literally translates to remove this quilt, which means to wake up, or in a deeper meaning is to open up our wisdom and Dharma door for this life. And then the next sentence translates to smooth out the next life, or to pave the road for next life. And I think that is what really inspires me deep down to Xun Fa Xiang and wake up every day. So I think this is some of the first one translates to Grandmaster, your children is always here, and then the next one is about is asking, have you Xun Fa Xiang today? So that's about it. After Xun Fa Xiang, I realized one of the biggest changes was me becoming a vegetarian, because before Xun Fa Xiang, I was very, very reluctant to keep the precepts, which is do not kill. After Xun Fa Xiang, I heard Shangren was saying that killing animals and eating them will make us go to the hungry ghost world. So at the abode's main hall, I also vowed to become a vegetarian, and now I am actually a vegan, which means I don't take eggs and milk. And before Xun Fa Xiang, I also didn't want to let go of my pride, and because I didn't want to go recycling, I am so scared of the filth and the smell. I didn't want to go. I just rejected every invite. So now after Xun Fa Xiang, I realized that we have to be responsible of our actions, and I believe that we have to go through and experience the 4 major missions and 8 charitable footprints of Tzu Chi before I can achieve the 6 paramitas. Yeah. And so yeah, I started to go to recycling stations more often, and I felt a lot of joy when I was helping there. So I didn't know why I don't want to go. Overall, after Xun Fa Xiang, I think I am more positive, and I can change my way of thinking more often and more quickly. And I hope that I can always remain Xun Fa Xiang every day and to keep my vow. Yeah, that's it. Gan En.
Okay, thank you for your sharing. So I think I remember last year when during the Jing, the whole world Jing camp went back to Jing abroad, and I think I remember to share with them, saying that if possible, because Master of Sangren give you a present, which is the English version and Chinese version of the Sutra of Infinite Meaning. I think it's good that we all can recite, not just recite, and we can, can remember the words. And this is very important. This is, I remember last year, Master gave every young people about this sutra. And through the sharing, I think me too. Actually, even though I've been Xun Fa Xiang, I've been Hualien abroad for more than 6 years. And before this, when I was in Malaysia, Malacca, because I was the cafe staff, Jingsu cafe staff, and I also attended the Xun Fa Xiang. And I went to the center as well with some other colleagues. So actually, I also quite often to have a problem. It always disturb me. That is, I very easily to get dozed out, and I can fall asleep very quickly. And I always say, they say, can you understand Master's the Taiwan language, the Taiwan Taiyu? And I think that I only cannot understand when I fall asleep. If I wake up and fresh mind, I think I can listen maybe more than 50%. So even though now in the abroad, I wasn't on the spot and listen directly from Master Cheng Yen, and I sit very close to the Master at the main hall. To be honest, sometimes I also feel very I feel repent and feel that it's like I personally, everyone have a problem of listening and to accept the Dharma. And I also want to learn from you all, because you all see you can find a way to let you to adopt the very essential the very main point. This is not easy. At least I have to learn from you all who listen to Xun Fa Xiang very very diligently, and not just attend, and also have a Dharma joy of listen. So I'm also very glad that even though because of the advance of technology, we can review. So this is a good way for me to push out myself to learn at night time to read what the master talked about this morning. So I think, is there anyone who want to have another sharing? Or there's a question saying our Buddha statues, the liu li for is very expensive. Why? To be honest, for our Tzu Chi liu li for now, we don't have this liu li for sell at the cafe now, because I think there's no more produced. And as I know that for the famous painting, it's just a piece of paper. Why somehow it can sell in a very high price? 我怎么讲？就是那个名画，就是纸嘛， just a piece of paper and some coloring. And why when we go for 那拍卖啊，还是怎么讲
？It's like when we go and buy, as we go to art gallery.
I think it's
look at all those drawings. Those they are also just papers.
Yeah.
So why do they sell it at such a high price?
Yes. So I think it's just a value, not because of the you see the material. Value of the spirit. I mean, the produce. I mean, the 创造人的那种精神，那种。
The spirit of the artist.
Yeah. So I think even though this is not a pure crystal for making the liu li for, as I remember that the material that we use to making, it can last longer for more than 100 years and 200 years. If you every day when you see the Buddha statue, and it make you inspire you to learn as what the Bodhisattva or the Buddha, the spirit and the value, I think it's worth, because every day you use into your life. I think because you learn the model of the Buddha, and you learn the way how the compassion, and every day we use it. And I think if you divided the price every day, I think it maybe cost you 1 ringgit per day. If you 2,000 days, if it costs 2,000 at least. Just take for example, I can't remember the price for the small size and the medium size. So you convert, maybe in the few years you can earn back. So I think it is not in the money that how high it is. I think because it can last longer in your heart. This is also a very unique product as artist 那个艺术品。
As an art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I can give the answer. I'm not sure that you agree or not. Yeah. Just yeah.
Yeah.
就是那种比方古董，这种很久了。It take time, just like just now. Yeah, Yuping say time does not separate us. So even though if this handphone is being produced 100 years ago, so if I want to sell it now, maybe it can up to a million or maybe it cost you 20 millions or what, because this is 100 years ago we have first product handphone. So but now you think this handphone cannot use because it's been 200 years ago, and why now when you sell out, and why it costs so much money? Do you think this is not because it's useless? I cannot contact to other people, I cannot go to internet, but why it costs such a high price? So can you explain that? Are you like get crazy? Why you want to spend such money and want to buy this cell phone which you cannot use? But just because this is the first generation that the people who make it. So I think it is this we are not forcing the customer. You have to buy these things. It depends. You like it and you will buy. I remember Master Cheng Yen been talk about story. They say one cloth like a beautiful lady dress.
Mm-hmm.
So the price tag is I think maybe a few hundred of Taiwan money, and they've been displaying the rate for more than half years, but no one will buy. So after the owner or the seller who rise up the price to a few thousands, I think from 500 to 5,000 or what. So in a very short day, the customer buy it. So you think this is how we can explain, because people will think the high price is more value and will appreciate. If I give you free, if I say this is free, everyone can get, I think you wouldn't appreciate. Yeah, because you can get easily and you can forget very easily. This is what I can give this answer.
Very true. It's really very true. 感恩黄师傅 for I think for the other questions we might have to leave it for the next week. But thank you very much. Thank you Huang Sifu for the answers. I think that was amazing. And thanks to the two sisters, Tzu Chi. So happy to see you all. I mean, my Tzu Chi always Tzu Chi. I'm also a Tzu Chi. And and I'm also a vegan, so happy to see you join the rank. So happy to see youngsters doing this together. Just to say that you're not alone. We have a lot of youngsters in Taiwan also walking this path. And all over the world, teachings we are to uphold and continue this path that our Siku Sipo has laid it so firmly and well for us, and we can continue on forever and ever. And also I want to share, because like what Sister Kathy was saying, she has began listening to Xun Fa Xiang since the Tzu Chi camp, and I still remember that time we started a WhatsApp group to listen to the videos, the playback of Xun Fa Xiang from the very first 第一集, the very first sermon, and all the way up to now. I was looking back at our WhatsApp group. Since on the 28th of June is already the 200th sermon. So it was really amazing. You really have sustained it for half a year. It's truly amazing. I think it deserves really a round of applause from all of us. So please continue on with it, and we are all here doing this together. Thank you, and all the best. We should see you again at the end of the year, and to Sister Apple also, we should see you also at the end of the year. Thank you. See you again, and thank you everyone.